I wanted to use my knowledge, which I have, to help those who are basically on a mission to serve others. Because I feel that there's a gap between the people who are actually here to transform lives, to make an impact.
You're listening to the Octave Leap Podcast, a coherent vision for the future of business.
Welcome back to the Octave Leap Podcast. I'm your host, David Kahn, and I am joined today by a good friend of mine, a lighthearted, big-hearted human being who knows a lot about launching your business or life work into motion. This is Joeri, not Russian.
Thanks, David. Beautifully introduced.
Yeah, he's Dutch, actually. And I said, I'm going to introduce your full name. And he's pronounced his last name, and then I go, shit, my lack of cultural, articulation. I couldn't pronounce your last name. Just kind of like being in Bali. It's just like, you got a hamburger? That's about all I can say. I can't, this nasi goreng thing,
My parents didn't thought it through. The Yuri part always goes wrong. People mistake me for Russian, so thank you for introducing me as not Russian. And then the spelling goes wrong, and the last name, please just don't bother. It's too Dutch. It's too
Too Dutch. Yeah, too much of that, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. I'm sure when you make those noises, it's like it activates different parts of your brain. In North America, when you don't roll your R's and you don't do that kind of stuff, it dulls you in certain ways.
Maybe that's very true.
Yeah, well, they say linguistics, it shapes your consciousness, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. Some languages actually like Sanskrit. It's it literally the words make you more alive.
So you feel like different languages would program your brain in different
Yes,
absolutely.
Way?
Is it?
Yeah, it's called the semantic reality. It's a fascinating form of psychology, actually. So this isn't just woo-woo stuff. I don't talk woo-woo. I talk hardcore science on this show.
So because of my hard rolling R's and G's, I'm wired differently than you are.
Yeah, you're gonna have really different perspectives on funnel marketing than me.
Yeah, I see. Better, you mean?
Better, exactly. Improved. I'm just joking around. Joeri and I have quite a bit of rapport where we've both been in a men's group for 8 months. We hang out lots. We talk about helping other people. We're in the same industry, and this industry is really about helping, people with big missions, personal brands, get out in the world and do that, right? And what's the big drive behind your why for wanting to help people out there?
Yeah, I've been working on my why for quite a while. And maybe just to give a bit of background, I come from 10 years of working for corporate. I've been in marketing for my entire career. And it just kind of came to a point where it just didn't make any sense anymore. There was no satisfaction in selling another toothbrush or selling another car. So I wanted to use my knowledge, which I have, to help those who are basically on a mission to serve others. Because I feel that there's a gap between the people who are actually here to transform lives, to make an impact, and the world of online marketing, of sales. And that's when I wanted to step in to basically give the change makers a stage to reach the right people. And that's my why. I feel if we have more personal development, if we have more opportunities to grow, then we just create a new, more conscious generation in that sense.
Yeah. And, I think it's interesting because in this world, this online space where everybody can be a business or a brand now, you see a very wide range of people. But I think, if there's somebody offering a service, especially coaching is a good example, you have those who are very competent. They're experts in their field. They're just really, really good. You have people who are newer but talented, and so they've got to kind of go through the ropes a little bit, and that does require some time. And then you have people, I don't know if it's just people who kind of are just shopping around because of a lack of identity, but they essentially are not very good at what they do. And, I don't want to say it those are the people that are maybe most challenged by the whole thing. But sometimes those people can, especially when it comes to making income, they can get quite desperate and then turn to real hype marketing versus people who are experts. It's they actually need very little marketing, right? Their marketing is going to be maybe just sharing some of the referrals or case studies because they actually have a lot of referrals. They have a lot of case studies. If you ask them what they can help in other people, they can give you that answer immediately. Is that your experience as well?
Yes. Yes, but I guess if you want to, depends on the type of business, the type of vision that you have. You know, if you are an expert in your field and you have testimonials, you have helped your people. It depends like how much you want to grow. If you really are driven by your mission and you want to make a bigger impact in the world, then there's no way around online marketing and attracting the people there. And that's usually a different game than building rapport with people face to face. And that's
Mm,
where online marketing skills are needed in terms of how do I position myself? How do I reach my target audience? What channels am I going to be using? So, if for those people who already are the expert in their fields and have helped those people and know what their gifts are, for the step for attracting people online, also spreading your message there, I still feel that there's a gap for those to bring that message online instead of like working within your own type of network and face to face or based on referrals.
yeah. Yeah, I think the challenge with that setup is people often feel very busy, but they might not feel like they're making as big an impact as they could. And often that they're not sort of in a position of financial and lifestyle freedom yet,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is kind of a deadly trio in a way. Because if you get too busy, but you're not meeting your financial and lifestyle targets and you're not making that impact, it's sort of going to eat away at you
Mm-hmm.
and you're not really going to have much time to do anything about it.
Yeah.
So that if you find yourself in that position, then what, you're talking about, if somebody finds themselves in that position, what you're talking about is something that could be very helpful and effective for that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because essentially what you're doing is you're leveraging like a wider audience, or you're leveraging the one to many
Mm-hmm.
ability to give people those time back, increase their impact in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's different steps for that, right? Like the first step would be just to get customers and just to understand how to sell and create your program if you want to go from 0 to 2K per month. And further than that, you want to maybe start filling up your agenda more with one-on-one coaching. And eventually maybe want to do group coaching. And maybe eventually you want to grow further to 10, 20, 30K per month where are in the need of funnels and advertising. So every step I feel in that coaching path, that coaching journey of creating a bigger impact requires different skill sets.
Mhm.
And coming back to that gap, which I see, I haven't seen many coaches which are really truly great at actually serving people and making that impact, and at the same time know everything about online marketing. So that's that gap. That's that why.
It's wearing two hats, right?
Mm,
And it's the other thing too I've realized is it's not just online marketing. Because like if we live in Bali, for instance, there's opportunities everywhere
mm,
for what we do. There's people that are coming here by the millions to get more clarity on their life and to heal. And then there's other people here at various stages of their own entrepreneurial journey. And so what I've found, at least for what I do, is, and that's often helping change makers and giving them more kind of creative solutions and structure in their business and energetic support. It's like I just sometimes go out and talk to people and then basically have, you know, like I bumped into people at the local cafe and then they become like two clients later.
mm-hmm,
So it's like everything is sort of part of this. And unless you live in a small town and there's nobody in that town interested in what you offer and you're forced to go online, also consider the fact that part of what you do could be bumping into people.
mm-hmm.
And in fact, that might be more powerful because uh, if you're trying to do it online, it's a very competitive space. I mean, if you're trying to like make inroads on Instagram, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
you got to put in this much effort for this much output.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I specifically for coaching when it comes to workshops or seminars, I feel that's very powerful because people get to see you, they get to meet you, and you build that like and trust factor, right? And yeah, I feel that's powerful. Well, we're privileged to be living here in Bali because there's so many entrepreneurs all coming together. So I feel also we're a little bit in our own bubble here sometimes. It's not always the case for like smaller villages where I actually come from. But still, it's the quickest way I feel to express your expertise and just to show people that you're a good person, you have good intentions, and maybe that factor is more challenging also if you don't really know the marketing skills to bring that across online because people might be more suspicious of what you have to do and if you're actually good at what you're selling. But I guess as you know with good or free or by donation based workshops or webinars or freebies or something to show your value, that's already a way to build trust with people online.
Yeah, the first focus shouldn't be making money. The first focus should be on getting people knowledgeable about what you do, right? And so it's a long game. Hate to say it. No matter what the gurus have told you, it's longer than you were hoping for.
Mm.
The foundation, of course, of that is your why. If you've got a solid why that you're deeply committed to, you will weather the storms that naturally come up. And there are days where you need to have that mindset and that state of being dialed in. Because if you don't, you'll throw in the towel, you go back to the office, begging that jerk of a boss for your job back.
Yeah.
So that has to be dialed in first. After that, your brand. You've got to have a clear idea of what you offer, how you can help people, how you're positioned in the market. And that message that it's on the tip of your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
I think they call it the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't ride in elevators here in Bali too often unless you're at a fancy hotel in Nusa Dua, but you still need to have that available, right? And it can't sound like a pitch either. That's the caveat.
Mm-hmm.
It has to sound like it's natural and spontaneous. So you got to improvise with it, but you got to know what you do. You have to have clarity around that. And that's actually hard. That's hard to do for people on their own. I feel like it's very helpful if somebody asks them the right questions that gets them there and then thinks with them to actually create that.
Yeah.
And then after that, your part of your brand too is like, what content are you actually going to go out there and create? What are you going to actually share with the world that you enjoy and that people actually need?
Yep.
That's going to be structured in a way. And then after that, then you can turn on the marketing lever.
It's a matter of finding your tone of voice. And that comes down to indeed those pillars which you just described, right? Your mission, your vision, your USPs, your story. And I feel it's an ongoing game. It's not as easy like I'm just going to sit down and within 20 minutes I have my brand identity, I have my vision, I have my tone of voice. That takes time. It also takes time to write copy and to go out and test things and see what feels good, what resonates with your audience. But yeah, it's good to kind of keep challenging yourself and keep sticking to that mission and to that vision. And you also supported me with that vision, right? I think we had a chat some time ago to like really challenge like what is the impact that I'm making, and I know why I'm doing things, but you in that sense challenged me for like a bigger vision, to really create a new generation of change makers, and that more resonates because then you indeed sometimes during those challenging days and times you go like, oh man, like I'm just not feeling it. If you come back to that vision, you know actually why you're doing it, and that's what brings the motivation, and that's what people feel and buy into.
Yeah, I mean, because like if your big vision, your whole reason for 10K months, all the fucking debauchery I can afford with 10K months. If that is your bigger vision, it's sort of like it's like sand. It's gonna fall apart. If your bigger vision actually is something bigger than you can step into that. And, 10K months will be a milestone along that path. So will greater things, whatever's needed for that vision to come into form.
Yeah, 10K months, it has no emotion behind
No.
it. Right?
That's all people are talking about. It's like you go online, it's just different variations of how much money you're going to make per day in a certain number of days. And there's no soul behind it. It's like robotic. It's like everybody's running off the same damn algorithm.
I mean, it's a milestone, as you say. It's an indicator. Like if you're consistently doing 10K months and you're selling your high ticket program 3-4 times a month, you reach those 10K goals. It's basically what you get in return for making that impact and changing the world. And that's, as a change maker, as a coach, as a mentor, that's eventually the value that you bring.
Let's break it down though. You just said you're selling a high ticket thing. So you're selling a high ticket thing. What's a high ticket thing? It's something that's expensive. Why are people going to pay for something that's expensive?
Like the question to me?
Yeah.
Because you deliver a transformation.
Because they perceive it as being valuable. Exactly. Right? And so if people can see the value in that, and it's not just hot air, then, yeah, it's worth that. And you're going to continuously make sales if you're creating something that's valuable and potent. Now, how do you create something that's valuable and potent and stands out in a crowded market? Well, it's got to be something that you're deeply committed to, something that you're putting in the time and effort into learning and refining and tweaking and making better. The only thing you're going to do that for is something you believe in. You're not going to do that for something that you completely don't believe in. I mean, look, some people get a kick out of like, yeah, I'm just going to like tweak this app until it makes me the most money. But those people are usually unhappy at a certain point. right? There's people who, yes, they enjoy, like, mentally stimulated by tweaking the system to make as much money as possible. Sure. But I've met a lot of those people that get unhappy and they get all twisted out of shape at a certain point. I don't want to get that far down the road and realize I have no soul left. I'd much rather do the soulful thing, even if it takes a little bit longer, and get to that place. Be like, wow, this is amazing. I've done that already too for the last couple of years. Like, I started with the weirdest fucking coaching business model. I'm like, I'm going to use astrology and I'm going to help you identify the deeper patterns that lie beneath your subconscious mind. And yes, I made multiple 6 figures a year doing that through one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and courses. Even a couple like little workshops and stuff that were sold on demand. So the model works. And just recently, even, you know, I kind of turned my back on that and said, I'm going to go into the business side. That actually didn't work so well for me. I didn't get any clients for about a year. And then I got too many clients and I was just spinning myself in circles until I had a fucking motorbike accident. So, I mean, I realized, okay, it's got to be some healthy balance. I got to help people, like, you know, move the needle forward, but it's got to be done with this like deeply meaningful spiritual context. Just yesterday, I made a post about this revelation I had while in Singapore. I met this friend and he showed me this thing that kind of blew my mind that was revelatory, but it was about astrology and about sort of like, you know, a subject matter that is maybe more seen as spiritual or esoteric. I got 50 likes on it and I got like 25 comments and like I sent it as an email too and I was getting people replying. And it's like, well, clearly the universe is telling me what people are responding to in my content. I should go more in that direction. You know, but sometimes I have my own limitations. Like, no, people don't want to hear that. They want to hear about like their business and stuff. And then that thing gets 2, 3 likes, you know?
I like what you're saying about the universe. I feel that entrepreneurial journey is a constant reflection of the universe on your path to see if what you're doing actually resonates with why you're here. Coming back again to that why, right?
Yeah.
You get instant feedback from the market. If you're not making any sales, then you're not on the right path. And if you're doing a post which gets 0 likes, it's not the message that people want to hear. And as entrepreneurs, we're here to solve problems, right? We're here to help other people to live a better life, specifically in the coaching industry. And that's the constant feedback that you get from your messaging or what you're bringing out or your offer.
It's funny. One of my spiritual mentors, he was a Jewish guy from New York. So he was very like enterprising. And he basically said, he goes, he's a spiritual mentor. Like, he's a very wise guy, but he goes, you know, there's only so far you can get on the path on your own. You got to take your thing to market at some point. The market will tell you. It's like at a certain point of your spiritual journey, it's all about marketing.
True.
It is. Because people will tell you pretty quickly if the thing sucks. And it's all been in your head. And that's exactly what you're saying. It's like the universe makes this beautiful journey. And all we have to do is walk the path, as uncomfortable as it gets sometimes, and as much contracted as much we bang our head against the wall and be like, why isn't this working? Or it was working. The worst is, it was working before and now it sucks. Guess what? The journey kind of goes like this. It's not a straight line.
Yeah, what's even worse, what I'm hearing you say as well, which I have personal experience with as well, it's progress over perfection, you know? And like, you can get stuck in your mind with constantly rethinking, reshaping what it needs to be without actually bringing it to market, without actually launching it and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, go back to the drawing table.
Yes.
But a big pitfall is that just constant keeping thinking, reshaping, planning, this is going to be perfect. And you work on something for a year and then maybe one day you bring it out and people go like, yeah, this is not what I'm looking for.
No. Time's moved on. I don't need a pager in 2024. You've taken 20 years to redefine the perfect pager, but that technology is now obsolete.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also, I guess, a personal journey because you need to overcome fear of rejection and you need to overcome perfectionism and you just need to go for it and see if it works.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of a there's a larger concept here in a way. It's sort of like, you know, we have an idea as an individual, but that individual idea does need to come into the whole. And so that sharing it with other people is natural. And then there's sort of a mixing and merging, and we understand what's needed. We tweak and refine, and then the synthesis is the thing that actually like creates, you know, that momentum.
Yep. Yeah, agree.
So it is interesting because, like, if in marketing there's sort of two approaches. There's people who just do everything based on how they feel,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's people who are like 100% data driven.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they just look at like all the little pieces of your marketing machine, and they assign KPIs. And they're like, oh, and then they both get you to the same place. It's the funny thing.
And then what's right?
They both get you to the same place.
The feeling and the structuring part.
Yeah.
You feel it comes to the same.
Yeah, I mean, there's these like, there's like, I kind of have these two like avatars in my head. There's like Funnel Bro and Funnel Chad, and then there's like the Abundance Goddess with the big hat on.
Mm-hmm.
So like Funnel Bro lives in Canggu, and then Abundance Goddess lives in Ubud.
Yeah,
Or Uluwatu, and she just like sits on her lotus leaf, and she's just like, you just gotta like manifest it, and it'll show up. And just like, look at this. It's just, my life is amazing. And it's just like, people just keep throwing money at her because it's like she's Russell Brunson's attractive character. If you're familiar with that, it's sort of like people sometimes they just like you. It doesn't matter what you're doing or saying. It's just like, oh, she shows up on Instagram Live. She does her thing. All the hearts are going. And then she just says, and if you want this, here's the link. And then they go to the link. They click the link. They buy the thing. Very, very simple.
Yeah.
Right? And then the other way, Funnel Bro is sort of like, yo, you got your ad? What's the view rate on your ad? What's the click-through rate on the ad? And the click-through rate for the CPM? Just like he's using all these acronyms all the time, right? But there is something in that because he can pick out the weakest link, and then he'll do like a bunch of different iterations of that until you find the one that works, and then you move on.
And I feel that those two characters go along really nicely because there's also a lot of people in Ubud sitting on a lotus leaf manifesting without actually attracting the customers.
They'd make an amazing couple.
Yeah, no, they would. They would really hit it off. Yeah. No, because the structuring part and the creative part, that's kind of how I see the one. Your Funnel Bro brings in that structure, that roadmap, how you can further scale up your business, what we touched up on in the beginning. And the other person sitting on lotus leaf is more creative, more maybe in touch with the universe, maybe with the impact that he or she wants to make. And combining those two together can really establish like a constantly growing business.
Totally. But I think you need to do the lotus leaf thing first. So you need to actually shut up, tap in, and figure out like what that thing is that you want to do. And then you build the structure around it.
Yep.
Right? I mean, how many times maybe in your professional life did you build a structure and like, this looks great and it's following all the rules, looks good on paper, and it just doesn't work? Right? Especially in business, because a lot of the time, all businesses want the creativity in there, but if you're creative, you're naturally going to like resist corporate life, right? Because you're sort of chaotic. It's like, imagine like, we've got a friend who's an artist, and like, imagine him in an office with this, like, he'd last a minute, like walk in the door, walk out type of thing, right? But like everybody in the office wants the person like that. Oh, so you got great ideas, and like, we're all half dead over here, and we can't think anymore. We're just robots. We need you here. And this guy's like, yeah, screw off. I'm going to go do my own thing. Right? It's like, trying to herd cats in a way.
Yeah, because I agree with what you're saying, because it again comes down to your why, to your personal voice, which is also in the structure that I outline. I much more identify, as with the Funnel Bro type of guy, because I think much more in structure. So the start of the structure that I create also starts off with your why, with your personal brand, with your identity, and that's maybe more the flowy Lotus lady you were talking about, because it brings it to like why I'm here, how am I serving, what message do I want to bring across, and if that's clearly identified, also like how you stand out from the rest of your competitors who might be doing the exact same thing. If you found that tone of voice, if you found that spot in the market, then it's time to use those steps to further grow and actually help and reach more people.
Exactly. And so the important thing is both of those are essential, both of those are incomplete. Right? Lotus Leaf Lady. I've seen lots of these abundance goddesses, and everyone following them is just like, how come I'm not manifesting the things that I actually... It's like, you can't manifest a website. Sorry, dear. It's like, you're going to actually have to like hire somebody to build that funnel. And maybe, you know what? You're going to like go to the cafe and it's going to be super aligned and you're going to meet the right person who does it for a deal. Sure, that can happen, but the thing's got to get built.
Yep.
Right? And so you do need that structure. But the thing is when you marry those two forces, that's where the real sweet stuff happens, you know. And like, even when we work together, you know, you have more of the structure. I bring more of the creativity. You know, I call it chaos, but it's creativity at the end of the day, into the picture to kind of make the thing, you know, because that's the thing is like people, like you got to remember is like when people are buying, there's humans behind there, right? So no numbers and tracking and all that stuff is going to like actually drive the thing, which is like human desire.
Mm-hmm.
And human desire is based kind of on, ooh, I want shiny thing. And so if person is shiny, they're going to want what that person has. If person's product is shiny, they're going to want that product.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so how do you get it shiny? Well, that is a little bit of that magical part of life to make the shiny thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because what makes somebody shiny?
Mm. I think there's two ways. It's the person, which is a big thing in coaching because it's personal branding, and that's just having, well, your tone of voice, being an attractive person, and actually having something to share. And I guess it's also about the drive to just bring content. Just for a lot of customers I work with, they just love content creation because they feel that's their voice and they want to bring that out. And eventually, if you keep talking about what's passionate for you, people will hook onto it. So that's
Yes.
the one part for like the personal. And the second is, what is it that you're offering? How can you make your product, your transformation, your high ticket offer, how can you make that attractive? And then there's certain more marketing elements, like how can you put that wrapper on so that's a shiny product? How can you work with really something, creating really a product which helps your customers, really understanding your customers? That's often what I see going wrong. People just create something for the sake of creating it while not really thinking from the standpoint of the customer. Like, what are the objections that they might have? What are they actually craving and needing? And how can you create a product which makes so much sense that people kind of feel stupid saying no to it?
Yes. But to create a product like that requires some creativity because you're creating something new.
Mm.
You know, you're not basically saying like, I'm just doing McDonald's again. Like, this is just like McDonald's, but somewhere else. Like, that's not going to have longevity to it, right? It's like, if you really want that product, it's like you're solving a problem that nobody else has solved out there.
Mm.
And in order to solve that problem, it needs some creative underpinning for somebody to have gone through the thing and committed enough to that. Completely understand. The other thing I was hearing in there too is that when people create content, yes, because generally when people create content and they're expressing, they're in a very happy state. You know, I think it was JP Sears said that, like, if you don't express what's inside of you, you can create anxiety and you can create like all these shitty feelings. And he calls it creative constipation, because by not letting out that expression, you know, you think, oh my God, I've got to heal this or I got to work on this. It's like, no, you just got to like turn the camera on and like do this or sit in front of the computer and write something out.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing that and putting it out to the world, they'll make you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in many ways, that content creation process makes you shiny.
Yeah.
The part that I get stuck with is the video editing. Especially nowadays, it's like, how do people make these videos? It's like, it must take years.
Mm.
And then they have a new one every day.
Yeah. It's also about knowing what you're good at. If you like, or if you enjoy being on camera, or if you would prefer to create a podcast, or if you prefer to just write copy, or if you're into reels. There's so many platforms nowadays.
I don't think I could ever go on camera.
Sorry?
I don't think I could ever go on camera.
Or a podcast.
Or a podcast. Like, I'd just be terrified. Just no go.
No. Not for me. No.
Yeah.
No.
How many? You've done thousands of these, right?
I think we're coming up to like 250,000 now.
250,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm
Yeah.
on a roll here. Yeah.
Funny. It's you were telling me, actually, it's like, I haven't done, but you're like, talking to you got the natural rapport for a podcast.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you're good. Like, yeah, this is awesome.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. You should do a lot more of these. I think, you know, you've got this sort of natural flow with the way that you describe things and the way that you exchange. And I feel like the other thing too is that there is this structured side, but you also, when you're tapped into the bigger why, it comes across so naturally and so attractive to people, because there's creatives out there that need that structure. And I think that's what you see in the market is like you said earlier, it's like you see the people who are really good at something and they've got something to share with the world, but they don't know the structure required for that sharing process.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when my hands get sweaty if I see like amazing content creators who go like, oh yeah, I have like 50, 100,000 followers, but their business is not yet aligned with those 100,000 followers, where there's a certain structure would need to be put in place to actually give value to those 10, 50, 100K followers to give them more value in return for paid services, right? And that's my most ideal customer. Already has an established why, already has knowledge of the market, already has something to give and an audience, and then it's just basically simply putting into place a structure which helps you to offer more value by converting your products into paid services.
How do people get to be like 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 followers?
How they get there?
Yeah.
Matter of finding your voice, your platform, and creating content.
Yeah.
Just a matter of consistency. Yeah.
Do you think it's still possible in 2023?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's just starting out now?
I just met a lady the other day, and I think she posted 3 or 4 reels, and she went from 2,000 to 45,000 followers by three reels.
3 reels.
Yep.
No boosting?
Not that I know of. No.
Jeez.
Yeah. Basically, because I asked her like why, but she basically said something controversial in those videos, which sparked off an emotion with people and started engaging, and people started talking about it. So yeah,
Is it the right kind of followers?
I think so. I hope so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's still possible, specifically now also with new platforms like TikTok, where it's much easier to go viral and much easier to engage with your audience.
I'm afraid to put TikTok on my phone. I'm not kidding. Like, it's just like, I heard all this stuff that it's like Chinese government spyware. Like it corrupts your phone and stuff. So I'm like, ugh, I don't want that app anywhere nearly. It's like Instagram's as far as I'll go.
Yeah.
Feel like I might be missing out though. Maybe I get a VA to create like a TikTok account for me. Yeah, I could do that.
Could do.
Corrupt her phone instead.
Yeah. Well, TikTok is a good platform to kind of test out your content, right? And then to reuse it again, because you get instant feedback on TikTok, and it's easier to go viral. So just post a lot of stuff there, and then repost it, things which are working on other platforms. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's, I think, it's interesting because I think there's obviously the most number of people have like few followers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so they're kind of like, well, how do I even like get more people to see me? That's usually the first problem. How do I even get noticed? Then after that, I've met influencers that like, they're still not hitting their financial targets or anywhere close to them, but they're in this position where they can make the business work essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so then them, basically, that's the sweet spot where they're easy to get on camera, easy to create content. They've got a following. Now they just basically have to get their followers to support their offer.
Yeah. That's the second step, right? Yeah, a lot of people in the industry are at that first step. Like, okay, I want to do something. I want to help. I know what I'm doing. I want to set up a business. I want to make a change. But how am I gonna find the people? Or better yet, like, how are the people gonna find me?
I think one of the biggest mistakes people make, to be honest, and I see a lot of these accounts because I know a lot of coaches, but generally people between 800 and like 3,000 followers, the big mistake they make is just focusing on their business and what they offer all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's not actually like people on Instagram or Facebook. Like they're not there to look for your business.
No.
Some of them are, but the majority of people are just like there to see something that's thought provoking.
That's what, sorry?
Thought provoking or entertaining.
Thought-provoking, yeah. So it's mainly about entertainment, right? The question you should be asking yourself is like, if someone's scrolling and looking at fucking cat videos, what am I going to do to grab their attention to stop looking at cat videos and start looking at my stuff? And often most of the time, people are not there on Instagram to be educated. They're there for entertainment, suppression, numbing away their feelings. So,
God, what are we supporting? It's funny because, like, with my daughter, sometimes some of the things she likes to do is watch animal videos, especially cute dog videos. She'll go into YouTube and I'll pull up like cute dog shorts and we'll watch them, right? And like you can see, it's like some of them just like not good. Like she'll just like flick it up now. She'll just like, just get this out of here. Other ones, she's like, no, watch again. And it's like those ones you look, they got like 2.1, 3 million views, but it's like 10 million views. But you see, it's like those people are creating content that's entertaining, especially like for kids. And I'm not saying we should let our kids watch phones and reels all the time. It's only in small doses. So she gets to watch a bit of the doggy video and then back to like swimming in the pool and being a kid again.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, my point being is that if that business owner, which not business owner, but account, it's probably got millions upon millions of views, were to then go and say, okay, now I'm going to like be an affiliate marketer for like this dog food. They could easily do that.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy to do that. Right. But I think when you're in coaching or something like that, it's like, how do you do that? Like animal videos are such an easy sell.
Mm-hmm.
You could build an audience that will be the right audience. Probably not. But like, how could you do that? How could you build that audience up, especially rapidly? I hear all these people that are talking about like, rapid social growth and stuff like that. But like, I still haven't found that magic bullet.
I don't know if the focus should be about rapid growth. Because what are you going to do? Like, let's say you go viral in one night. You have 20,000 followers. What are you going to do with those followers if you don't have the skill set to convert those followers into paying customers?
I'd hold a meetup and I'd meet all of them and I'd shake all their hands and then wash my hand promptly afterwards.
All 40,000.
All 40,000.
Well, I have a housewarming party tomorrow, so maybe we can all meet up there.
So I'm going to go viral tonight. I'm going to invite everyone to your housewarming party that I go viral with. That's a challenge.
Yeah. So everyone.
By the way, anyone watching this, if this video goes viral, he's got a housewarming party tomorrow. You want to give the address? We'll give it in the comments below.
Yeah.
In the
Please, and swimming shorts because we have a pool party at the end. So.
Pool party at the end, yeah.
Bring your own towel.
Bathing suit's optional.
Yeah. No, so it's about consistently getting your message out. If it's on Instagram, if it's on LinkedIn, if it's on Facebook, because it takes time to find that tone of voice. And then your objective shouldn't be, in my opinion, to go viral and have so many thousand followers. If you have 1,000 followers at the moment and you cannot convert a single one to buy your product, how are you going to convert anyone like in 50,000 followers? So it's a matter of consistently getting your message out, building those followers, while also understanding how to convert them, how to launch your product, how to create a product that actually people want, so that people start messaging you.
Yeah,
I feel that's a much more important skill set rather than to have 30,000 followers.
Yeah, I mean, what I've realized is that content and me used to be at odds because I never wanted to feel like I was just appeasing an algorithm. I can't do that. I try to do like the 5 top things, and it's just like, shoot me, right? But what I realized is that I can show up in certain ways. I actually like Facebook. I like writing.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook's good for writing and throwing up a picture or throwing up like a video or something.
Yep.
And the crowd on Facebook, generally above the age of 35, you're going to have a little bit of discourse in the comments.
Yep.
Instagram, it's about things that look nice.
Yep.
Right? And Instagram, basically, take these podcast episodes, cut up some reels, throw it on Instagram, make some stories here and there, that type of thing. I can get down with that. Instagram used to challenge me the most. YouTube is your like compounding because people will go back and watch videos from a couple of years ago.
Yep.
So it's the longest growth cycle, but at least your content has a longer shelf life on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's video content. Like this goes up as a 40-minute. You can't do that on those other social media platforms.
Yeah.
You can't have a 45-minute video. Every single time I do a podcast, I usually get a couple hundred views. I check the watch time. It's usually at least 20 minutes average watch time. So people are actually listening to you for a period of time. They're becoming like entrained into whatever thing is vomiting out of your mouth in a positive way, folks.
Yeah, I think research has also shown if someone consumes more than 7 hours of your content, they're like highly likely to buy your shit. So this is why videos and podcasts are super strong, because you're always there on demand, and you spend a lot of time, or people spend a lot of time watching you or listening to you.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting thing too, because like some people are just out there in this very conflicted state. Like they want to share their gift, but they also don't want to sell, but yet they need money. This is an interesting thing. So what I have learned in my process is embrace sales. It's like, it is lawful. If the universe wants you to be doing this thing, you should be doing it with all your life force behind you, and you should be supported for doing it. So get comfortable making sales. Just don't make them in a fucking sleazy way.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do the used car salesman thing. Don't do the like, ebro marketing lines like, oh, urgency, this deal on this digital course from 3 years ago. The price is going up in 30 seconds if you don't. No, it's not. Like, you can send me all, like, what is so urgent that you have to email me 30 times after opting in for your free thing that just basically sold me something anyways? Like that kind of thing. That's what people equate with sales.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize that, like, it's actually very natural and lawful just to say, hey, by the way, I gave all this amazing stuff for free. If you want to go a little bit deeper with me, if you want to take up my personal time, there's a price associated with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is a barrier for people. And, I think with the people that you're talking about, people that have a following already, that is a thought. It's like, geez, if I start asking people for money, are they going to love me? Because right now, they just love me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about money mindset. How do you perceive money? How do you perceive yourself, right? Like, or you actually feel like you're worthy if you're going to be charging someone for the services that you're offering? If you don't find yourself worthy, it's very hard to actually charge people high ticket prices, 2, 3, 4,000 euros for the transformation that you're delivering. And the second thing, when you speak about the scarcity and like the bro type of marketing, I agree. Like, the customers I work with, it really depends like what type of personal brand you have, what it is that you're doing. And some of my customers do feel that resistance, like, oh, I still want to be authentic, which I fully embrace as well. And it's also with marketing, there are certain tactics maybe which do work with people. So certain scarcity or FOMO does work, but the question is like, how can I put that in authentically? If you can only work, for instance, with one of the customers I'm now working with, if you can only help 5 people per month, then that's an authentic scarcity or urgency for people, saying, hey guys, I can only help a maximum of 5 people per month, and after that you'll just have to wait another month or another 2 months. And that's an authentic way of creating a form of scarcity.
Yeah.
Or urgency, saying, hey, maybe not with your price, but you can say we have a community month, like for everyone who joins this week, we have an additional bonus, we have a guest speaker, we have whatever. So there's still ways of being authentically yourself while actually creating some sense of scarcity and urgency, because general humans don't like making decisions. They would prefer to wait, sit down, because change is scary. So there's still a little bit of a push you need to give people to make that decision.
After setting up hundreds of online events for myself, for clients, for for Vanessa, what I've come to realize is that you always sell tickets, the most tickets in the last 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Always. It's like a law of nature. That is a very natural form. Tickets close at this time on this date. That's what makes it so much more powerful than you can buy this at any time you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because people know that there's something hardwired into our psyche around that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, like, I'm launching a group coaching program, and the coaching program begins on January 15th. And my early bird pricing cuts off on December 15th. And the reason why I'm doing early bird is just to reward the early adopters and give some accessibility for people who need a bit of a discount.
Yep.
That's a very authentic way of saying, this is what I'm doing.
Yep.
There's nothing dishonest about that. There's nothing disingenuous.
No, I agree. And that's something I highly encourage people to put in when it's about launching their business, launching their programs. People need that push. People need some incentive to go like, okay, I'm going to make this decision. It's uncomfortable for people to spend $3,000 on a transformation, but if it's actually going to be helping them, serving them, and they have a reason why they're buying it now, then they're much more likely to do so. As you say with the ticket sales, right? It usually ends up in being in the last 24 hours. Same for me. I'm not going to buy a ticket 2 months in advance. I go like, maybe I get sick. Maybe it's going to rain. Maybe I don't want to go. And then I end up buying it last minute anyway.
Yeah. It's interesting I want to kind of dig into the high ticket stuff, because for me, what I've seen with high ticket is that it's generally in favor of the business owner to do high ticket, right? Because it's fewer transactions. It just makes my bookkeeping so much easier, my life easier. But recently I've noticed that there's been a little bit more pushback towards high ticket, and that coaches have had to find other business models.
Mm.
So I want to kind of hear your experience with high ticket, when it works, when it doesn't work,
Yeah.
and sort of how the market might be changing with regards to that.
Interesting question. Maybe it's good to kind of zoom into our definition of high ticket, because I remember we had this conversation before as well. What is your definition of like high ticket when it comes to like price range?
When you're asking somebody for more than $2,500
Yeah.
or 250K IDR.
Yeah. So for me, high ticket would be anything indeed above like 2.5K euros, dollars. Usually for like coaching programs, 2.5K to can be anything, right? But if you're talking about like a 3 month transformation, 2.5 to maybe let's say 5, 6K reach range, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I feel that the benefits not only for the business owner, yes, it makes it easier because the whole process of attracting the right leads, attracting sales, converting, you only need a couple. So that's in favor of the business owner. The other thing is that you're actually offering a transformation instead of like a one-off thing for people. For instance, one of your previous guests, Noah, we worked together as well, and he offered the breathwork sessions one-off, but the program that we created was a transformational program where you go much more in depth for his target audience being entrepreneurs in terms of how to regulate your nervous system, how to make sure you can upshift but also downshift as an entrepreneur, understanding much more about the science behind it, really giving them a transformation in those 3 months where they're not working themselves towards a burnout, but are actually establishing themselves well as a proper business owner in their business and having that skill set, which you're not going to get from 1 or 2 sessions. So in that sense, I feel that the transformation that you're offering to your customers is also beneficial for them. And yes, for the business owner as well, because you only need a couple of customers.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I was kind of fishing at with this, and I think you explained it well with your answer, is that if you do offer a legitimate transformation and it's something that you've proven through the test of time and the test of running it with people, it should speak for itself.
Mm-hmm.
People, and you should have a reputation for doing that particular thing. If you don't have a reputation, you may need a single session to give people a taste of it, right? Something that they're willing to say, okay, I'll pay you $200 to dip my toes in here and figure out because it sounds good. And once they get that hit, then you can explain, well, like if you do one breathwork session with me, you're going to feel good for a couple of days, but your nervous system's not going to be regulated. That takes time.
Yep.
Let's use this breathwork guy example, because I've also worked with Noah, so I understand sort of that. So it actually takes 3 months to rewire the nervous system, and once the nervous system's rewired, then you can actually do proper deeper healing on some of these other patterns that are troubling you. Oh, okay. So my program basically focuses in on rewiring the nervous system and getting that clean and clear. But that takes time, and so this is the thing. Okay, now I understand. So they're not quite aware of that bigger transformation yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now they could be made aware without having to do that initial session with you, if you've already got a big reputation, because chances are word of mouth, oh my God, you got to check this guy out. He totally helped me. And you see the transformation in your friend or your colleague or your family member. And so in many ways, they're now taking that place of what that initial session did.
Yeah.
And so I think it's all about these stages of growth of a business. Now, the problem is when new people come in and they see the coaching market, and they look at somebody who's more advanced or progressed on their journey, that is having success financially, has created all of these things, and they say, I'm just going to go there. Mm-hmm. So my first thing to do is to create a high ticket offer.
Mm-hmm.
But like, they don't have any experience.
Mm.
They kind of have to go through a natural progression. Would you not agree?
Yes. And yeah, there's a lot of truth to what you're saying, and I feel there's different elements, specifically if you're starting out, which can help you to still create that high ticket offer and get customers. There's indeed the free session, or like the paid session you mentioned. It can also be about a lot of free content, a lot of free value, while not asking anything in return. Maybe an email address, or maybe just give it away for free. It could be challenges, could be webinars, could be free training sessions, so that people actually go like, I haven't heard of you, but I learned fuck tons from you in just like 30 or 60 minutes. This is how you build that trust factor. It can also be for a paid session of whatever, $100, or indeed the free content. The other thing is, if you're creating a high ticket offer, how can you make it in such a way that it really serves the people and it takes away the risk on their end? And this is where you can work with guarantees, saying, I'm so confident about what I have to offer. I'm so confident about that transformation that if you don't reach your results, whatever, you get your money back. We keep going. I keep coaching you until you do. Then you take away that risk of your customer. You actually put the risk with yourself, but it also requires confidence of what you actually do. So this is why I offer a guarantee with my own program that if you don't reach your or if you don't get your investment back at the end, I will keep coaching until you do, because I know that the methodology I have works. And
Yeah.
that gives people the confidence, and it takes away the fear or the objections that they may have to you.
Yeah. Yeah. What I was specifically talking about are people who are new, not just to running a business, but maybe new to coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't yet proven
Mm-hmm.
the results of what they offer.
Yeah.
And in that case, they have to actually walk that path first.
Yeah.
Right. They have to basically walk that for themselves and figure out where their training and their own natural creativity
Mm-hmm.
form this awesome like connection.
Yeah.
Because you can't just go and learn like a modality and then expect to be like, you can't be like, I just did my 200-hour yoga teacher. I am now a hatha yoga teacher and I'm here to revolutionize. No, it's like if you're following a system, you're following a system.
Yeah.
But if you're using that training to then innovate upon that, then you have a secret sauce that you can put into
Mm-hmm.
potentially, a high ticket offer. And, I think even I call it signature offer. Like, I don't even call it high ticket, but signature offer is like your big all everything, your most like hands-on approach, right? So your signature offer could be a retreat. It could be a program. It could be, a course. It could be whatever. There's many different things, but that is sort of your library of everything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the beginning stages, when you're starting out, it's actually just putting stuff into that library.
Yeah.
It's just filling it with books. And then after a while, through the experiences you have, it's actually arranging that in a way, again, goes back to the feedback from other people.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, the best way to build a high ticket offer is to do it a bunch of times with one-on-one people.
Yeah.
And actually, just to be honest, honesty sells amazingly. I recently did something. This is fun. So I wrote about the experience I had last week and with this astrology thing, and I said, look, I'm actually like building like a little system. I'm probably going to do a cool little app. But like, if you sound interested by anything with this story, like email me. I don't have a landing page or anything, but just send me an email. Got a whole bunch of emails, and then basically now I can have an honest conversation with these people and say, look, like this is what I'm working on. Does this sound interesting to you? Cool, yeah. Like, let's figure something out. I'll probably do it by donation, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So just like figure out a number that works for you, and this is what I'll give you in return.
Yeah.
And so for me, what it allows me to do is it allows me to be honest with people of where I'm at with something, but it also gives them value because they know that they're not getting something that's already established and tried and tested and true. It's sort of like there is an excitement getting in on the ground level when something's new.
Yeah. No, I agree. I like what you said about it. You need to walk the path, and there's different steps on that path. You cannot start off by creating something which you've never tested before, 5K, get it out there and expecting to reach those 100K months within a month. It's about being humble, I guess, in a sense as well, and being honest, as you said, saying, "Hey guys, I have something, or I have this idea, I have this thing which I'm really good at, and I really want to help people, but it's going to be my first time, and I would love to get some feedback. So I can offer you a discount, maybe a 50% discount in return for some feedback on your program, on your one-on-one coaching." And this is often what I also see go wrong in the market, that people want to skip those steps. Like it starts off with one-on-one coaching. Maybe later on you can scale up to group coaching, and then maybe you can create your own online course. And what the industry also feel is feeding people like, no, just create your online course, do a bunch of ads. You can retire with your passive income in Bali. But it's about getting that feedback, really constantly crafting something, getting the feedback from the market, getting the feedback from your customers, getting that experience. So you really craft something which is incredible valuable.
Yeah, it's funny because I have a coach who, we always throw figures around, right? It's like, oh yeah, he makes this much. Like it's like typical, but he knows what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something so profound. He said that like you should only make a low ticket offer when you've tried and tested something so many times that you know exactly how it works, and then you do that to kind of get people more like an online course that's on demand, to get people more familiar with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because he says if you just go and you make a course and you haven't tested it, it's like chances are people are going to watch it and they're going to see something that you don't. in that process, right? Because
Mhm.
it's not actually born out of you testing this methodology in many different circumstances and then putting the course together. It's like they kind of pick up on the fact that, oh, he's just tossing a bunch of stuff together and putting it out there.
Mhm.
Um, which is kind of interesting. So the only thing that I'm creating an online course on right now is actually about how to have success with online events, because it's actually the thing that I've probably done the
Yeah.
most. That
Yeah.
like I can stand behind and say I can actually put this in a course. I don't need to be involved with this course in any way,
Yeah.
and I can put it out there after
Mhm.
doing hundreds of these. And so that's really at this point, if I take that philosophy, that's the only thing I can confidently say that's at the point right now where I'm at. A
Mhm.
lot of the other work I do just isn't scalable either.
Mhm.
Like I've taught astrology and this kind of stuff in group settings, which is great, but like I would only do that in a group setting unless somebody wanted to, like, buy the recordings or something, but that's
Mhm.
not that attractive.
Mhm.
So for me, it's like on-demand courses, if you want to sell them, it's like you have to actually sell something that has deep meaning for people and
Mhm.
like is actually truly tested. Otherwise, they're not going to work.
Yep.
Have you talked to anyone that's ever tried to sell a course and didn't sell any?
Well, you're talking to one right now. Yeah. Yeah, let me share maybe a bit of my own personal experience, because I was that person who was like, I'm going to create a course, I'm going to sell it via advertising and have a passive form of income in a couple months, and that's it, right? So I made the big mistake, which a lot of people make. I spent 7 months, I think, creating this course. First time I was on camera, I learned to edit, and I spent months and months doing the modules, perfectionizing the the slideshows, and eventually I was done. I was like, great, I have a great course. Who am I going to sell this to, and actually who needs it? So the biggest pitfall I made was just not to test the concept, not to get the feedback from the market. So I ended up spending 7 months of my time. I learned a lot about video creation, about talking about courses, but I still have this course which I haven't sold because I didn't have the audience to sell it to, and I'm actually not quite sure what problems it's solving. The more I'm now working one on one with people, I more understand the challenges that they have, and they actually need something else, much more practical, for them to grow their business. So
What did the course focus on?
the course is focusing on funnels, on building funnels, on like how to set it up, email marketing. There's a whole lot of value in there, but there's the biggest the biggest need in the market is, I think, what you also mentioned, people who have a mission, who want to start off but want to go from that 0 to 4 or 5K a month. Those need practical skills about what's my why, how do I find my tone of voice, how do I create content, how does copywriting work, how do I get people into my DM, how do I convert people from my DM to a sales call, how do I close a sales call, how do I create a high ticket offer. Those are much more fundamental steps before you can actually use those funnels. The funnel course is still relevant. And I also found that people who already have 10, 20K per month would much more prefer for someone to just go out and build it rather than to have to go through an entire course to study how to build a funnel.
Yeah, I think that's the ironic part, right? What those funnel building courses, who they're usually good for, are people who want to become freelancers to build funnels.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a lot of them out there. I mean, I did that for a while, and actually earned a very handsome income building funnels for people. Um, but it kind of gets a little bit exhausting for me, at least,
Mm-hmm.
to do that,
Yep.
because you build one funnel. It's hard for people to see the value before they've earned anything from it, but it takes so long to do. So the only time it can be successful is when you get somebody who actually pays you what the funnel's worth. By the time they paid you for what the funnel's worth, it's a pretty big investment of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so this big focus on, just get Chat GPT to create it, and these people just use the template and whip it together. It's like, then you look like everything else.
Mm-hmm.
You're not selling innovation if you're just a carbon copy of everything else out there.
No, funnel building is a big skill set. There's the technology part, there's the marketing part, like the positioning, like how do I position myself, what tone of voice. There's the sales part, like what am I actually selling, what type of funnel am I setting up. So there's different. It's a difficult industry, I would say. I've been doing it for quite a while, but it requires different skill sets and different expertises to really put together a well built funnel. So yeah, the quickest way is probably just to hire a good team to put that together.
Yeah, it's kind of like, the way I see it is like, if you wanted a sports car, You're like, yeah, like I want a really like fast sports car. And then somebody's like, I've got a V8 engine. Like, yeah, you just put the engine in the car and it'll go fast.
Mm,
It's like the kind of like, okay, you're selling me a feature at the end of the day.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
That like, I just want the whole thing. Just
exactly.
put it in the car and I'll drive it.
Yeah.
Right. And same thing with funnels. It's like, I don't think people are going out there and actively searching for funnels. Right. Like they're like, oh, like, yeah, okay, there's some people, but they're not like the funnel is the thing that I need. Because if they do, there's plenty of information. What they're looking for is a solution.
Mm-hmm.
What they're looking for is when the kind of person you're describing that would actually need this is basically probably already earning handsomely. They've already got that system working of content and DMs and high ticket and that kind of thing. And now they're like, all right, cool. Like I need to make this a little bit easier. I need to automate this a little bit better.
Yeah.
So cool. I need to free my time up so I'm not doing so many DMs. So I'm not, this isn't sort of like a rickety ship here.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically like proper.
Yep.
So I need a funnel to do that.
Exactly.
I made 100 funnels for myself, man. Like, very few of them worked because I often said, oh yeah, the funnel will fix it. Kind of like you at the course, right? It's sort of like, yeah, just build a funnel, it'll be great. So, well, guess what? No one looks at the funnel.
Mm-hmm.
You send pay ads, nobody buys anything and you waste money.
Yep.
Right? And
Yep.
so really it needs to be born out of an actual progression.
Mm-hmm.
And the progression you're describing here is create content first that's appealing to people and start building up a following.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have a following, there's certain steps you can use to take that following and to basically get them into paying customers for your service. At a certain stage, you'll be hitting your financial goals, and you'll probably want to scale up your financial goals and your impact. And in order to do that, you need to automate the process a little bit more.
Yes. And then you're working with stuff which has been tested. If you're going to be skipping those steps, how do you know if your ads are going to convert? How do you know how to bring across your messaging, your copywriting? How do you know how many emails to send out? How do you know what type of offer? Those are all steps that you need to test first, ideally organically, because otherwise you're going to be spending fuck tons of money on advertising and just crossing your fingers hoping that the funnel will fix it.
That's a great feeling, by the way. It feels kind of like a mix of anxiety and severe contraction. Just to hope this works. $4,000 a month budget. Let's go.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I guess but it's also more or less what the market is kind of selling, right? Oh, you just do funnels, do advertising, do this. They're selling that.
The one secret you need to know before you run your Facebook ads.
Exactly.
It's just like, shut up.
Yeah.
It's like, would you ever say that to me in real life? If you walked up to me on the street and said that in real life, it's like, I'd think you're insane. But yet that's how people talk on the internet.
The nice thing also, just to come back to the course part, like you spoke about in the beginning, like things are being more beneficial with like high ticket stuff for the business owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually feel that like selling an online course is the most beneficial for the business owner, not necessarily for the person taking it. Online courses are great, but the biggest transformation which you actually create with people is often with offering your support, accountability, motivation, which can come into the form of like a one-on-one program or group program. Because I think statistics show that like only 15% of the online courses are really being fully watched. So like 85% of the people, they buy an online course and they only watch a couple modules and then they get bored and they don't use it anymore. So
yeah, and I think that's because people are. There's a funny thing. I read it's that there's a psychological effect is that when people buy the course, they psychologically think that they've already got the result. I've bought the course, so like I'm done. I don't need to do anything. This course is on how to set my Instagram profile up for viral growth. I've already got the viral growth. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and it's done because I paid $27 for the course. Right? No, that you have to take the course, and then only by taking the course do you find out if you like it. And most courses you won't like because it's just not presented in the right way. It's maybe not the right information. It's too hard. You're too busy. Whatever. Right? But like what I do think is that courses are a way to test something out. If you like somebody, you like their approach, you like what they, it's a way to do it with fairly low risk, because usually a course is $27 to $200 or somewhere in there. So, it's not a huge financial loss. And then if you like them and then they say, now you can work with me one-on-one, you're more likely to take them up on their offer.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they've established some rapport with you.
Yeah. It can be a good step in your product funnel, right? It's like a tripwire for $27 where you just give concrete advice, maybe a couple hours of videos where people see like, hey, this guy or this girl knows what they're talking about. And to then say, like, if you want to actually have a big transformation, I offer one-on-one support or group coaching. But just a course itself for the sake of selling courses, I feel it doesn't really contribute to the transformation of the people. There needs to be something extra, which is beneficial for the business owner as well as for the person, because then they have someone actually guiding them and motivating them and keeping them accountable and actually doing what they need to do in the course.
There you go. There you go. There's your secret answer. You've got a whole business model. This is the inner circle. $40,000 a year. You just heard the answer right there.
We can create a course out of this and charge
Create
money.
a course out of this. We're going to cut this podcast up. We're going to put it into different videos.
Yes.
We're going to attach a PDF to each video, and then we're going to sell it for $200.
Bro, and retire.
High five.
Retire in Bali. What's up?
Retire in Bali. Then we'll have caviar for your housewarming party. Joking. It's funny because like I did just some like big like revelatory podcast like last week, and then this one's just like two guys talking about marketing, but done, with a lot of heart. This is the thing. It's like, you need to have the nice fluffy stuff, but you need to build the frickin' structure. It's like, explain to me how you could have a house and live somewhere beautiful without structure. You'd be living in a cave or a pond. It'd be horrible. You'd be wet all the time. You need structure. You need walls. You need a roof. Right.
And you need that creativity and that maybe spirituality, even as you were talking about, that mission, that why. So those go together really nicely. Yeah.
Opposite end of the spectrum, of course, is when they build like a subdivision in a suburb. Just all the houses look the same, and they're just like, here's your home, here's your home, and every house is a carbon copy, the same. Like it's like Dubai, right? And it's just like that's the opposite end of the spectrum. It's not a home; it's a house, right? And so what you need like the right location. It's got to have the right feel. It's got to have the right decor. It's got to have the right kind of thing, but then it has to be built precisely. And that is where a house becomes a home. Similarly, when you have the form and the context, that's when your life's work comes alive.
Yeah. I guess that's what we both represent, right? I've also seen your work and like the amount of effort that you put into making something authentically look and feel the same online as it does with the person just face to face.
Exactly. The less pretending you do, the better. And, if you want to track data, I think for most people, there's some people who are very good at pretending and being inauthentic. They're good at wearing masks, and that they can do that and they can put on a show, and that's one thing. Most people out there, though, they'll find if you track when they're being genuine, authentic, and vulnerable, that's the thing that they get the most engagement on.
Yep. Same for your content. I've tested it out myself.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So that content that you're creating, you want to make it heartfelt. You don't want to just sit there and too much information people all the time.
Yep.
But you want to just be honest with people.
Yep.
And you just want to let them know where you're at, right? And that's where I think all the LARPing happens in the coaching industry. LARPing, meaning pretending. Where people are just like, oh yeah, like I'm this big shot. It's like, yeah, they got lucky. They hit a 10K month once, and like I hit 10K months. Yep. I'm gonna help you hit 10K months. It's just like, really interesting. None of this feels real.
Yeah, I've seen that was the biggest shift in my own marketing as well. Like I'm actively posting on LinkedIn every day and I'm sharing a lot of tips because I wanted to get that value out to people and say like, hey guys, this is my 12 years of experience. Here are the top 5 things to do in a funnel or how to create your content. But that was getting little to no engagement. And I started to put in a lot more of my personality, of my own challenges, which I'm going through or went through, or my own observations. And that creates a lot more traction. Why? Because people resonate with my story, not necessarily like the 5 tips on. And it creates emotions, right? If I speak about how I started my business, how I got my first customer, how I got into a burnout, how I like that resonates with people because you're being more vulnerable and you're not pretending, you're being authentically yourself because people buy from people.
Totally. I mean, whenever you read these posts, like, and you see this a lot where people are like, these are the 5 things you need to do. And it's just like, it feels like my boss is talking to me. Feels like I'm back in a cubicle and like somebody's just coming. These are the 5 things that you need to do to be successful at your job.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh. But like when you weave those things into a story and it's with life experience, like we look at Netflix. For God's sake. I mean, Netflix is huge. It's just full of stories. You can access them at any point in time. Half of them are shit. Well, 80% of them are shit. But like, they're there for you at any point in time. And like, why is Netflix successful? Because it tells stories.
Yep.
why are documentaries successful where you learn things? Because it tells it in a story, right? It doesn't just give you like this series is about the 5 things to scale your business. Like it doesn't do that. So why do we do that? Like why can't we just make like I think the best course or like we talked about this with somebody that we're partnered on. It's like why not make a funnel that like people like want to like be on that page? It's not just trying to sell. It's like there's cool like stuff happening. Like there's like sigils and music and different things going on. It's like, why can't you make it a cool place to hang out?
Yeah.
And tell like a captivating story. So that's what people love. That's what we're hardwired for. And even marketing has realized this. There's this whole brand story brand type of thing that people are like, they realize, okay, if you tell a good story and you embed the right things into that story, people are going to like it more. Like you saw, and like I've seen with content, like you told, like the post I made that did better than any post I've done all year was simply like, I phrased this. I had a remarkable meeting, one of those once in a blue moon type of meetings, and I was clearly meant to be there in Singapore. This happened last Friday, and then I wrote the technical stuff interspersed with the actual like chronology of the story.
Yeah.
Put a little bit of emotion into it, and came out beautifully.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's about weaving those things together because you still want to establish yourself as an authority. You still want to give people practical steps. But what people often fail to realize that I think 90% of our decisions are emotional decisions. We think we're very rational humans, but we're mainly basing our decisions on the limbic brain, which is all emotional. So if you are good at storytelling and you can weave in the tips and the steps that they need to take, you have a very good, powerful way of communicating. Same about this podcast. I could say, okay, here are the five main outcomes from this podcast. People probably go like, okay, that's great. If I tell a story how we met several months ago and how we established a friendship and how we support each other every week in our men's group, and then say, wow, this was great, a first opportunity in the podcast, and this is actually like the insights which came out, it triggers much more emotion for people, and people actually enjoy reading it. And it's also not just hiding behind the facts of saying, these are our 5 marketing tips. It's more vulnerability and then combined with the outcomes.
It's funny, the last podcast I did was called Attitude is Everything. And that was the big thing in there that I said is if I just give you that distilled outcome, attitude is everything, it almost loses meaning. But if I tell you the story and the context for which that is over a longer period of time, you begin to understand why that's so important, right? And it's like, as we try to move faster in society, as we try to get things done more efficiently, we lose the journey. And the work is often done in the preparation upon that journey. It's like you cannot skip that. Right. So that's where the story becomes important, is because you're actually preparing yourself to receive that outcome, that result. You can't just get it. I liken this to like people who like music. Like 50 years ago, you go to like a record store. Like if you wanted to hear a song, you had to go to a record store. You had to hope it was in stock. If they didn't have it, you had to order it, and then you had to wait for it. And then you get it and you get to listen to it on a record player without any other distractions. Now, if you want to hear a song, you go to YouTube and it's there. And like, tell me the level of like anticipation difference it's going to be in both circumstances. Yeah. Obviously, the one where you put in more work.
Yep. Reminds me, I think it's a video, I think it was Russell Brunson I once watched, where he's like, I did a presentation so many times and about people like, this is what you need to do. And no one listened. And he's like, God damn it, I put in so much effort and this is how I learned and this is how I got those skill sets. And then people started to listen because he was sharing like all the shit he had to go through to actually learn those skills. And that's what people resonate with. Like,
oh God, yeah. Like, I don't know if you've ever read any of the .com secrets.
Yeah.
But like in those books, like he's talking about like, when I was a kid and I, before the internet and I encountered my first sales letter, it's like, I used to go and I used to like clip the newspapers and the classified ads. And then I used to like order the thing and study like, it was such a cool story, but it was like, if he just went and said like, this is how a good sales letter is, it would be like, yeah. But he did it with this like goofy kind of marketing nerd kid thing.
All of his books are built up the same way. It goes into a personal story of his, how he got the lessons from it. And then it gives you simple steps basically to create a video sales letter or how to write an email marketing funnel or that type of stuff. So yeah, it's all about that storytelling. He wrote an entire book about it, right? The Expert Secrets one. It's all about positioning yourself and how you tell stories.
Exactly. So there you go. You got the secrets. This podcast is, no, I'm not going to joke around because some people will think I'm being serious here. But this was excellent. I think there's tons of gems dropped in here. But again, it's not about the result. It's about how we got here in the conversation. So listen to the whole thing. Share the whole thing with your friends. And Joeri, what channel do you want people to follow you on?
I'm most active on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn.
So if you're a business type and you got a LinkedIn, follow Joeri on LinkedIn. Do you have any like freebies or anything like that for people?
I do. If you follow me on LinkedIn, I share a lot of information there daily. There's a free ebook you can download about.
Can I put the link in the description below?
Absolutely.
Okay. Here, I'm just going to grab the link, put it underneath. I'm kidding. I'm being such a nerd here. Oh, yeah, but it'll be in the description below because you'll be watching this on YouTube, or if you're hearing the audio version, it'll be below as well. Thanks, man. It's been a pleasure. Any parting words that you'd like to leave people with?
Yeah, I feel if you're listening to this and if you're still struggling, or maybe you have this idea, you have this hope, you have this wish, then and you have some type of limitations, just go and do it. Spread your message, spread your words, start somewhere. Because the biggest thing, the biggest roadblock is often like keeping it in your mind and not actually doing it. And it's just a matter of finding people, helping people, start that journey, that humble journey we spoke about. Start from the beginning and stick to your why, stick to your mission, and just know that you're here, that you have that gift, that ability to help others and to make an impact. Stick to that and just go for it.
Bravo. You got it. And yeah, now go do it. Take care.